Welcome back. The time is what, 12 minutes past 9, and you're still tuned into I almost said you're still tuned into Salai. You're still tuned into Salam Media. My name is Salai Loma Kudire, and you're listening to News and Views. I'm standing in for United Wadi. I'm sure he'll be back with you guys next week on the Wednesday and Thursday and Friday editions of News and Views. As I mentioned before we went to the break, 29th of May, South Africa is heading to the polls. We are going to vote. I hope you registered. And for the first time in South Africa's history, for the first time ever since 1994, since we became a democracy, we're going to be having independent candidates. There are 11 independent candidates contesting the upcoming national and provincial elections. And one of them will be joining us in a short bit. Her name is Anele Mda. Anele is an independent candidate, and she unveiled her election manifesto at the Constitutional Hill in Women's Jail Cell in Braamfontein on the 18th. Of April, which was yesterday, and she'll be chatting to us a bit about why she decided to go about it independently. Why didn't she want to join a political party like everyone else is doing? And also the significance of her launching her manifesto at the Constitutional Hill Women's Jail Cell in Braamfontein, a very, very historic place that is. So I want to check the connotations there. Why did she decide? And I'm sure she's joining us on the line. Anele, I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining us on Salam Media.
Good morning, Slyla, and good to your viewers as well. And thank you for hosting me this morning.
A pleasure is all ours. Before we go anywhere, independent candidate, Anele, why that decision specifically? Why decide to go about it alone? It's the first time where independent candidates in South Africa are contesting the national elections. And then before it was tried and tested, before you could see how independent candidates do in the ballot, you decided to be one of the first 11 to go through the process and, do this alone. Why that decision specifically?
I think at the core of that decision has been reflecting on the state of our country and reflecting on the state of South Africa, or cannot happen outside of reflecting on the state of politics, because, as you know, how we have come to be in the democracy that we have now enjoyed for 30 years. It has only been exercised through the party political structures that is at the helm of this country for the period of 30 years. And it has been important and necessary that when one looks at the country through the lenses of political parties, which are the role players that occupy the space currently, but also the dominant powers that put themselves or portray themselves as the proponent of the people. And for me, when I did that reflection, I couldn't find it worthy and deserved that I could align myself to with any political party, because I have reached a point that says there is no political party in South Africa that is for the true, genuine interest of the people. And there's no political party in South Africa that intends to serve the electorate for one thing and one thing only, ensuring the attainment of the better life for the people, as it was the initial promise that ushering of democracy was about.
Anele, someone might ask you a very difficult question, and I'm going to ask you that question. Someone might ask, well, you were a co-member before. What's different this time? Did you feel you couldn't inflict change within an organization, within a structure, that has very experienced people that were in parliament for such a number of years? You decided to go alone. What makes it different? What makes you so special? That within an organization you couldn't do what you think you can do now that you couldn't do when you were within an organization?
First of all, I'm Anele Mda. I'm a leader on my own. I do not need to be hidden or to be under a shield or a protection or an outfit of a political party. Being a leader doesn't mean that I need to be defined by party political lines. That does not make me a leader. For me to have joined COP, it have been part of the people, because I didn't join COPE. I was among the founding members of COPE. So for me to have been part of the people that formed COPE, it was because by that time already, I was a leader, an impeccable leader of note at a very young age. So I am not one to be defined by what society expects or demands of various people. And this thing of endorsing, of thinking that as women leaders in particular, for us, for our validity of being leaders to be seen, we must be endorsed, especially in society, by some quarters that must be the only authorities that must define whether we are fit or not fit to be leaders. I do not belong to that bunch of people. I do not come with a notion that says my validity and eligibility of being a leader must first be endorsed and be defined by other people before I see myself as a leader. I need no endorsement to see myself as a leader. My history speaks for itself. My trajectory and my footprints are well documented in this country. I wouldn't have emerged and become a global leader if I have not reached a point of being a leader in my country, in my continent. So I do not need to convince anyone that Anele is special, and I don't need to be asked if I think I'm special or not. I'm a leader. That is enough. I do not have to canvass for any other endorsement other than that. My history as a leader in this country speaks for itself. If a person does not know, they need to do the work.
I want us to touch a bit about your manifesto. I think the outlying of it is you're saying you want to change the country's trajectory, the country's direction. What's what influenced your manifesto? What's at the core and heart of it that you felt it's going to resonate with the South African voter, and you are also passionately looking to enforce come to 29th of May, when the votes are counted, and you're one of the leaders that are elected?
My understanding of what democracy is an expression of the will of the people in a society, which on a daily basis is used as a viable tool that is available and at the disposal of the citizens to agitate for meaningful and better change that is translated into the betterment of the lives of that people. When we are saying we are 30 years into democracy in South Africa, the translation of that democracy being 30 years of having been attained, it ought to reflect on the demographics of the people of South Africa, and it ought to express itself by the manner in which the lives of the people of South Africa continue to gradually a positive evolution that demonstrates indeed that there is a greater, some development that is taking place. But over and above that, it must be an expression that is seen through the gradual betterment of the lives of the people, where access to opportunities is available, where going to schools and attaining becoming graduates, it also becomes an extension of the way in which one can better their lives. But when you look at the state of our country as South Africa at this current juncture, you will agree with me that there hasn't been a crystallized a translation of democracy being for the people. At the core of my manifesto is really looking at the social injustices that continue to put Black people in majority in this country at the peripheral end and in the peripheral margins of every single mainstream opportunity that they ought to seize. And my manifesto is derived from a desire and a deep-seated need to ensure that we do transfer the true meaning of democracy to the palm of the hands of South Africans, and they see it by how the evolution of their lives is affected in a positive manner.
And also, I want us to touch a bit on the significance of you unveiling your election manifesto at the Constitutional Hill Women's Jail in Braamfontein yesterday. I'm sure this was not because the venue was available. I'm sure there's a serious connotation that's connected with you, maybe being a female leader, and we know South Africa being a very patriarchal society, and women not being in position of leadership as much as we want to? Was that the message you want to drive? That connection between, the women that fought for South Africa, that participated actively in the struggle, and you, I don't know, taking the baton from them and saying, we're going to take it from here and lead South Africa to the future?
Uh, the Constitutional Hill is a site that represents both the joyous and the sorrowful, experiences that most of our Black leaders went through in the fight for the attainment of democracy. But in particular, it stands for me on a very important as a very important symbol, where one could go and reconnect herself with the footprints and the roots of the leaders that some of them were incarcerated there. I mean, the likes of Umakhulu Uwini Madikizela and Umamo Albertina Sisulu. They were kept for 2 years incarcerated at the Constitutional Hill. It is now what is called Constitutional Hill. But also, you will remember that the anti-pass campaign of 1960 that saw additional prisoners incarcerated there. They are the ones who still have prison cells that are preserved there, that have got various history of various women who were kept there, and they were in isolation. They were kept in isolation and not being fed, not being put subjected to hygiene. I mean, they used to be kept with one bucket when it was during their menstrual cycles. The bucket would be filled with blood and it will not be taken out. They will not have a way of disposing of it. They would not have any ways of sanitary wear to assist themselves. So it was so significant, and it resonates with the girl child that Anele is, because as much as I was not incarcerated or I was not subjected to that brutality that they went through, I recognize and I resonate with so much of the sufferings that they went through, and that the indignity and the dehumanization that they were subjected to on the basis of being Black people who were standing up to fight for a nation at that point in time. They've gone after that struggle. They've gone to be dehumanized by their own fellow Black male in the struggle, who did not see them as fitting of being recognized as leaders in our country. I'm sure you know about the humiliation that Makhuluwini has suffered, not only in South Africa at the hands of the apartheid police, at the humiliation that and vilification that she has suffered in the ANC by the ANC leaders, the very same person who kept the name of the ANC alive when it was not even acceptable to make the mention of the name ANC in the streets. She singularly made sure that she kept of the ANC alive in the minds and the hearts of the people of South Africa, who came out in numbers in 1994 to reward and award the ANC with giving it the reins of running the affairs of this country, which they've come to destroy and break to small particles that you cannot even recognize any pride that we should take from this country. So for me, standing at the Constitutional Hill yesterday, it was really not only reconnecting to this constitutional space that is very pivotal in the history of our country, but it was going back to announce to the spirits of those heroines and the giant liberation struggles, heroines of our country, the women leaders that were never given due recognition. It was to announce to them that the spear they left, it might have fallen at the time, but someone else has taken it, and it is centered at the palm of the next generation of women that are going to emerge. And we are willing to stand toe to toe and head above the chest with the patriarchal men dehumanize them, the one that are of the very same skin like them. And standing there was not just as symbolic, it was also my own way of spiritual connecting to the spirits of the departed ancestors of this country that I believe would have endorsed what I stand for.
And just lastly, before I let you go, let's speak projections and ambitions. Where do you project? I'm sure you've done analysis. I'm sure you've looked at your numbers. You and your team, I assume, and also ambitions. Where does Anele see herself after the 29th of May, when the elections are counted and the ballots are empty? What's your primary objective?
I see myself in Parliament because I'm on the road to Parliament. But from Parliament, I'm definitely watching the union buildings.
Ooh, Okay. Hopefully, you'll be available to chat to us after that, after the 29th of May. Wish you all the best here from Salam Media. You are one of the signs that our democracy is not a dying one, as many people claim. The fact that you have a young black female like yourself contesting the elections as an independent candidate. We're going to leave it there for now, and thank you so much for joining us, Anele.
Thank you, Slylo.
There you have it there. One of the 11 independent candidates contesting the upcoming 29th of May general and national elections, provincial and national elections there. Anele Mda. Very spoken. Ex. Does she have your ex? Does she have your ex? You're going to vote for her. X doesn't want to answer me, but very, very, very interesting conversation there with Anele. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Our democracy seems healthy. Our democracy seems to be in check. I mean, if you can have, things like that happen, then yeah, I don't know. We'll see after the elections. She says she's gunning for the union buildings. Maybe she can be the first democratically elected female president that this country sees. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see after the 29th of May. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be chatting briefly to Fazila Mohammed. She's an activist involved in Palestine solidarity. Just shortly getting their reaction on that block. That the U.S. Pushed against Palestine after they, applied to get that full UN membership at the Security Council. That vote happened yesterday evening. We're broadcasting it live here on Salam Media, so we'll be chatting a bit about that and what now for Palestine. I think it was back in 2011 when they tried to apply for full UN membership at the Security Council, and the same thing happened. They were blocked. So we'll be chatting a bit to Fazila Mohammed about that after the break.